Hey, this video was originally recorded in German, but I wanted to share it with you also in English. That is why I have translated the audio, and you might notice that sometimes the lip sync is not perfect. But I hope the content is still helpful for you. In the future, I will be recording videos directly in English, so it will be even better. If you enjoy the video and want to see more, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy. Hi, my name is Daniel and I make my own pasta at home. I normally use my manual pasta machine for this, but that involves a certain amount of effort. This is where a pasta maker can help. I bought not just one, but 5 pasta makers, because I want to find out whether a pasta maker is worthwhile and which pasta maker offers the best performance at the best price. I first tested each pasta maker individually and then carried out an endurance test. This test pushed some of the pasta makers to their limits. Here are the 5 pasta makers that I selected for my comparison. In first place is probably the most popular pasta maker, namely the Philips pasta maker from the Avance collection. It can be used to make a maximum of 750 grams of fresh pasta. This is roughly enough for 5 people. The Avance is priced between 220 and 270 euros depending on the offer. In second place is another Philips appliance, the pasta maker from the Viva collection. It can be used to make slightly less pasta, namely for a maximum of 3 people, around 400 grams. The price is also slightly lower and you can find the Viva pasta maker for between 150 and 200 euros. In third place is the pasta maker from Razorri. Razorri is probably a lesser known brand. This pasta maker is characterized by the fact that it is extremely affordable. You only pay 50 to 100 euros for a pasta maker that wants to offer the same performance as the Viva. In fourth place is a high-end product. With a price of 250 to 300 euros, this is the most expensive pasta maker in the comparison. However, it also offers the most functions and a production capacity of 800 grams of fresh pasta. I am very curious to see how this appliance compares to the cheaper options. Lastly, we have the Nina pasta maker from Springlane. This one is similar to the Avance and also produces 750 grams of fresh pasta. However, it is slightly cheaper. In the end of the video, I will find out in the endurance test whether the respective products can master the specified maximum production capacity without any problems. To compare the remaining points, I set each pasta maker a simple task. Each appliance was to make fresh egg spaghetti using 200 grams of wheat flour. I came up with 4 different categories in which I will compare the products. You will now find out what I found to be positive and negative. One thing I have to mention before I start. I am not sponsored by any of the manufacturers. That means I bought the products with my own money and I try to be as objective as possible. Let's move on to the first point of comparison. The best first impression was made by the Nina pasta maker from Springlane. The packaging and design look sleek and modern. A very helpful quick start guide with pictures is included. The appliance looks quite robust overall, although the materials are not of the highest quality. The pressing screw and dough hook are both made of plastic. The Philips appliances are also top of the range in terms of design. However, most of these are also made of plastic. Only the front of the Avance is made of stainless steel, which makes it look more robust and elegant than the competing products. The Rommelsbacher pasta maker is also very well presented. One small detail that I really like is that the packaging has a handle. This was very helpful when carrying this large and heavy appliance around. Unfortunately, the first impression of the Razorri appliance was by far the worst. The accessories were attached to a piece of polystyrene with, unfortunately, many pieces came loose, so that the appliance was completely covered in small pieces of polystyrene. Like most of the other products, this appliance is also made of plastic. In terms of design, the Pastarella stands out in particular. Unlike all the other manufacturers, Rommelsbacher has opted for a horizontal kneading chamber. This not only looks aesthetically pleasing due to the transparent chamber, but will also prove to be the superior design later on. The pasta is dispensed vertically. This makes particular sense as this pasta maker is equipped with a fan. More on that later. Razorri and Nina also have a vertical pasta dispenser. Philips products, on the other hand, dispense the spaghetti horizontally. Both types of dispensing have proven to be functional in practical tests. However, I see a slight advantage for the vertical dispenser, as this one prevents the pasta from sticking together immediately. From an aesthetic point of view, I find the Viva more appealing. The kneading chamber is mostly transparent and therefore easy to see. This also has the practical advantage of being able to see the consistency of the dough. With the Avance, you can only look in from above. Overall, the Avance looks rather bulky in my opinion. Of course, it also has a higher production volume than the Viva, but it still takes up more space than the Nina and Pastarella. Before buying, you should generally ask yourself where this appliance will fit in your kitchen. Most pasta makers are about the same size as a fully automatic coffee machine. Only the Viva and Razorri are elongated and take up less space than the other appliances. Let's move on to the second point. The most expensive appliance, the Pastarella, offers the most functions. Here you can choose between 6 fully automatic and 2 semi-automatic programs. The semi-automatic programs are prepared as follows. You pour the flour into the kneading chamber, start the program and then have to add the liquid manually. With the automatic programs, on the other hand, the liquid is added automatically. All you have to do is fill up the water container located at the back of the appliance. Pastarella is the only product that offers an automatic mode. The pasta maker has an integrated scale to calculate the amount of liquid required for the amount of flour. This worked well in the practical tests and the liquid was calculated correctly. In addition to the Pastarella, 2 other appliances have integrated scales, namely Nina from Springlane and the Avance from Philips. This did not work with either appliance in the practical test. In both cases, the reason was that the scales assumed a different value when the lid was put on and therefore the calculated amount of liquid was incorrect. I therefore recommend that the quantities are weighted separately. Pastarella also has a built-in fan located under the pasta dispenser. At first I thought this was just a gimmick, but it turned out that it actually makes sense. It ensures that the pasta dries slightly when it's dispensed, making it less sticky and allowing it to rest on the plate for a while. Nina and Avance each offer 2 programs, one for pasta with egg and one for pasta without egg. Razorri and Viva do not offer a choice of functions. There is only a start-stop switch and another button for repeated extrusion. All 5 appliances are easy to set up and dismantle, and they are also simple to operate and start up. Only Pastarella requires a brief overview as the appliance has a total of 8 buttons. However, the operating instructions are very clear and contain some interesting and useful information about making pasta at home. Let's move on to the third point, the pasta variety. Each pasta maker comes with different attachments for different pasta shapes. The dough is pressed through the attachments and gets its shape. The most attachments are supplied with the Philips Avance. There is also a huge additional selection of dies that can be purchased. A total of 8 attachments for different types of pasta are included here. Then come Nina and Pastarella with 7 attachments, closely followed by Razorri with 6 included attachments. The pasta maker Viva has the fewest attachments, with only 4 supplied. However, it should be mentioned here that every pasta maker has an attachment for lasagna. These lasagna sheets can be used to shape other types of pasta, such as filled pasta like ravioli or tortellini. I will also be showing you how to do this on this channel in the future. Under the point pasta variety, I also count how many recipes are included in the recipe book. This is because you can achieve great variation not only through the pasta shape, but also through the dough mixture. This is where the Philips Avance has the advantage again, because there is a large community that exchanges recipes on the internet. The recipe books supplied with Pastarella, Viva and Avance also contain many dough recipes. What I like about Rommelsbacher is that it always describes exactly which mode goes with which dough mixture. Nina from Springlane also includes a beautifully designed recipe book. Unfortunately, during the endurance test I noticed that the quantities were not correct for one of the dough mixes. I noticed that the quantities were not correct at least for one of the dough mixtures. I followed them and ended up with very sticky pasta. Razorri also comes with a recipe book, but that one was not very useful for me. The recipes have been translated in several languages, but the units have not. Instead of grams, the quantities for the flour are given in cups. In addition, I did convert some of the recipes, and to be honest, it doesn't look like the manufacturer has tested them, because in every case the liquid specification was far too high. The last point I need to address is the cleaning aspect. All pasta makers need to be disassembled and cleaned individually after use. This includes the pasta attachment, the pressing screw, the dough hook and the kneading chamber. It took me at least 5 to 10 minutes to clean each product. Pastarella from Rommelsbacher was the easiest to clean. This is not least due to the fact that Pastarella used almost all of the dough. With all other appliances, there was more dough residue and therefore more cleaning effort. So here I come back to the point where I said that Pastarella has the superior design. The horizontally aligned kneading chamber apparently ensures a better dough yield. The most difficult machine to clean was unfortunately the cheapest, namely the one from Razorri. Unfortunately, the design was not fully thought through, as there are several grooves and edges in the kneading chamber where dough gets stuck and which you cannot reach even with the cleaning tool. This means that small pieces of dough remain in the kneading chamber even after cleaning, which is obviously not very hygienic. With Viva, Nina and Avance, the cleaning effort is about the same. If this video has been helpful for you so far, I would be delighted to have your support. I have linked all the pasta makers in the description. These are so-called affiliate links. This means that if you buy a product, I will receive a small commission. Of course, the price does not change. Another way to support me is simply to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much. Now we finally come to the endurance test. Here I find out whether the production capacity stated by the manufacturer is correct. To repeat, the Philips Avance, Pastarella and Nina are supposed to be able to process 600 grams of flour, whereas the Razorri and Viva specify a maximum of 400 grams. First, I empty the flour into each individual container. I deliberately use wholemeal flour to make it more difficult for the pasta makers. Anyone who has ever kneaded a wholemeal dough by hand knows that this dough is particularly firm. Then the machines are started. I can't lean back yet, I still have to supply every pasta maker with liquid, except Pastarella because I have selected one of the automatic modes. Now I have to wait and see while the machines work diligently. The very first pasta emerges from Razorri, closely followed by Avance and Viva. Pastarella is still kneading thoroughly. While my attention was focused on Pastarella, Nina started dispensing the dough. But then the machine stopped. What does that mean? Was the load on the appliance too high? I restart the pasta maker. Now it's time to wait again. Meanwhile, Razorri, Viva and Avance are still busy dispensing. That is going to be a lot of pasta. I hear a sound. That must be Pastarella. She finally starts dispensing. The direction of rotation of the extrusion screw changes and the dough is slowly conveyed to the opening. The load seems to be high, the machine is working at full power. Suddenly, the direction of rotation reverses again. Has Pastarella changed his mind? Fortunately, a false alarm. It seems that only the overheating mode has been activated. After 30 seconds, the output starts again and this time correctly. Nina from Springlane is also extruding pasta again. Will this whole thing have a happy ending after all? Unfortunately not, because the pasta is sticky. I can't do anything with that at all. This time I didn't even rely on the integrated scales, but on a dough mixture from the recipe book. I measured the ingredients exactly. The disappointment is huge. And to make matters worse, the machine stops again. A glance into the kneading chamber suggests something bad. Didn't the dough hook have 4 arms? Alright, whatever. After all, Avance and Razorri are already finished, and Pastarella is also finally finished with the extrusion. That is quite a lot. I will dry most of it. Now I have to check with Nina to see if a part has actually broken off. That would explain why the machine stopped the extrusion. Unfortunately, I still have a lot of cleaning to do. A quick note before we get to the conclusion. It's been a while since I did this test, and since then I've learned a lot. The Philips pasta maker Avance is now my clear favorite. I have even made a whole course to show you how to get the best results with it. If you want more information about that, look into the description. Now let's get back to the video. I am finally finished, and it was kinda exhausting, but it was worth it because the test held some surprises. Unfortunately, the Springlane pasta maker was the worst performer. Part of the kneading hook broke off during the endurance test. For this reason, at the moment, I cannot recommend this machine. This pasta maker from Rommelsbacher has the most functions and the integrated scales work the best. It is also the only appliance that has automatic modes. However, it is also the most expensive machine. That is why I think the Avance is relatively equal to this one. With the Philips Avance, the integrated scales did not work that well. Overall, however, this pasta maker offers the greatest variety of pasta shapes, especially because you can buy lots of different additional pasta attachments. It should also not be forgotten that there is a relatively large community that uses this machine. This means that there are many recipes that have been proven to work. Rommelsbacher doesn't have that. The second pasta maker from Philips, namely the pasta maker from the Viva collection, also scored very well. In my opinion, however, I would choose the Avance because it is not that much more expensive and offers a large selection of pasta attachments. You can't make as much pasta with the Viva as with the Avance, but it is enough for 2 or 3 people. The biggest surprise for me was the pasta maker from Razorri. The appliance costs less than 100 euros. Compared to the other pasta makers, this is significantly cheaper. Nevertheless, I was still able to produce good quality pasta with this machine. Of course, the packaging was not ideal and the recipes can basically not be used. On top of that, the fact that it was very difficult and nearly impossible to clean well makes it very difficult for me to recommend this product. But I was positively surprised that the pasta production worked well. All pasta makers are linked in the description. I have also added a link to my website. I have written an article there in which I have summarized all the information mentioned here in a clear and detailed way. I will continue to use the pasta makers. So if you would like to see an update video, please subscribe to this channel and like the video. Thank you very much.